Hi, this is Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book on record to play for you. Today's book is Adventure of a Squirrel from 1973. So let's get started.
The air was cold and the ground was frozen on the morning when the baby squirrels were born. While the babies took a nap, their mother went to look for food. The three babies slept in a nest in a hollow tree. They had no fur. After the mother squirrel ate, she hurried back to the nest. She laid down so the babies could drink her milk. Her milk was the only food they would have for several weeks. As spring came on, the babies grew. After 3 weeks, they could see. They grew fur. But the babies still bumped into each other and had trouble holding up their heads. They still needed to be kept warm and safe. When their mother went out for food, she looked around carefully. She knew there were enemies in the forest that ate squirrels. While she was gone, the babies played. If they got tired, they slept in their nest. When the babies were bigger, they learned to climb down the tree to the ground. The world outside the nest was a new world. The babies saw flowers, leaves, grass, and birds. One day, a boy was walking through the woods. He saw something move. He saw one of the baby squirrels run up a tree and go into a hole. The boy looked into the hole. He saw only blackness. He put his hand in and felt something furry. He pulled out one of the baby squirrels. The boy was happy and ran home, but the tiny squirrel shook with fear. He tried to escape from the great paw of the creature which held him. Never had the squirrel seen such a huge animal. At home, the boy put milk in a bottle and tried to feed it to the squirrel. Finally, the squirrel began to drink. The milk was good. The squirrel put out his paws to hold the bottle. After he drank the milk, the squirrel felt better. The boy held the squirrel gently in his hands and looked at him. Then the boy put the squirrel in a cage and ran to get his friends to show them his new pet. The squirrel ran around the cage. He tried to get out. He climbed up the door and it opened a tiny bit. He crawled through and was free. On the ground outside was a frog. The squirrel looked at him, but the frog jumped into the air and disappeared. Not far away, a cat was sleeping on the grass. The squirrel went over to the cat. The cat woke up and looked at the squirrel. Then he put out a paw to catch him, but the squirrel ran away. The cat watched him go and went back to sleep. A goose came by. The goose stopped and said, "Honk, honk," in a loud voice. The squirrel ran to get away from the awful noise. The squirrel wanted to get home, but he did not know where home was. He was getting tired and hungry. He saw a bright yellow flower. He tasted it. It was bitter. It was a dandelion. The squirrel walked and walked. He had not had lunch, and he needed to take a nap. The squirrel saw a butterfly land on a flower. When he walked over to it, the butterfly flew away. The squirrel started walking again. He was getting more tired and more hungry. He walked slower and slower. His head felt heavy. Finally, he could not walk anymore. He lay down on the grass and slept. It was still daytime when he woke up. He started walking again. He came to what looked like a strange rock. He walked around it and sniffed it. He put his front feet on the rock. He climbed on top of it. The rock started to move. A head with two gloomy eyes came out. The squirrel jumped off and ran away. At last the squirrel came to a forest. He raised his head and sniffed the forest air. It felt good to climb a tree. He went up the tree and walked out on a branch. On the ground, a mother skunk and two young skunks were walking by. They walked slowly, not fearing anything in the forest. They knew that few animals would be foolish enough to attack a skunk. The squirrel watched the skunks. He hoped they might lead him home. Suddenly the skunks went into a hole. The squirrel hung upside down looking for them. What he saw was a porcupine walking by. This odd creature frightened the squirrel. He ran to the top of the tree. At the top of the tree, the squirrel rested. Then he saw a crow. He had seen crows before. He walked toward the crow. When the squirrel was very close, the crow softly said one word, "Caw." He flapped his wings and flew to the next tree. The squirrel watched the crow. Near the branch was a hole in the tree trunk. The squirrel saw his own sister stick her head out of the hole. The squirrel probably told his brother and sister about the monster that put him in a cage, the rock that moved, and many other things. And his brother and sister probably said, "Stop it, you're making that up."
So that was the Adventure of a Squirrel from 1973. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a groovy day. And our next book will be Elephant Baby.